right, everybody, welcome to our team call. My name is Brigida Linford, and I'm hosting this call, but I know we have a few different teams that are on tonight or will be listening to our recording because I know that's just how it works, right? It's kind of hard to find a time that works for everybody with the different time zones and different schedules in life and whatnot. So if you're listening to this recording, thank you for doing so, and you are all in for a treat tonight. So we have a special guest speaker on tonight. Her name is Beth Isbell, if I'm saying her last name right. But she is 2-star qualifying in her first business center. She is a 1-star qualifying in her husband's account. And she is a Success Club All-Star. So I'm kind of looking at my phone here with her stats. And she is a new mom, someone that I've been following on Instagram. And I've connected with her through Scotty. I think he's my direct upline, and I know that he's in Beth's upline as well. So we're kind of sister coaches here. She was a full-time, or she is a full-time PhD student. Is that correct? Yeah. And she went coaching full-time about a year and a half ago. And she is someone that I have just enjoyed watching on social media because I love how she shares her story and how she talks about this. And she's just the cutest little mom. You guys will see she's just this gorgeous person that, I don't know, just very charismatic. And so I'm really excited for her to get on and share what she is doing to find new people through social media, how she is starting those conversations and moving through that invitation flow. I think that's what I get the most questions on. Like, how do I find new people to talk to you, and what do I say to them? So, Beth, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to you and let you kind of share your story a little bit and take it from here.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me okay?
You're good.
Okay, cool. So, hi, my name is Beth. I am so honored and flattered that Brigida asked me to speak on her team call tonight. Of course, she is somebody that I have looked up to in this business for forever. Like she mentioned, we kind of have Scotty as like a tie between us, kind of how we found each other. Scotty is actually my great grandpa coach, maybe my great-great-grandpa coach. And just to kind of like reiterate that point a little bit, I want to share just a little bit about kind of how I found Beachbody, the programs, and then kind of transitioning into the coaching business, because I feel like for me and kind of my story and like my foundation of coaching and how I kind of got here, there's a lot of power in how I found these programs and then kind of how that transitioned into this business specifically as it relates to how I approach connecting and inviting. So I won't spend too much time on it because I want to give you guys some like really practical tips and just resources essentially that I implement in my business on a daily basis to not only find new people, but connect with the people on a deeper level that I'm already connected to, and just kind of like Brigida said, move through that invitation process in a really genuine, authentic way so that you can find your tribe. So I knew nothing about Beachbody just 4 short years ago. I have always struggled, just like super brief backstory, I've always struggled with my nutrition and working out. And I kind of got to a point in my life where I was always kind of searching for the next thing to do, to push me, to challenge me, to stay on track with my nutrition and to feel confident in my own skin. But and what I mean by that is I used to compete in pageantry and I've done a few fitness competitions. And so I found myself always looking for like the next registration in order to essentially force myself into shape, just so that once that competition or that pageant was over, I could gain all 25 pounds right back and not love the person that I was looking at in the mirror. And if you've been on your health and fitness journey for more than a second, you probably relate to the fact that anytime we are super unhappy with how we feel physically, it's almost always more deeply connected to and tied to something inside that we need to be working on, right? And so not something that I was aware of at the time. And like I said, I was just always kind of searching for the next thing. And so I'm originally from Houston, Texas, and 4 years or so ago, I moved to Oklahoma. I had started my new job at the University of Oklahoma, where I started working on my PhD, that I'm still working on. And I met a lady that was working there who I knew that she worked out at home, and I knew that she drank this strawberry shake every single day on her lunch break. I saw her making it in the kitchen every day, but that was not for me, right? Like, I'm not into shakes. There's no way I can get results from working out at home. So every day on my lunch break, I would walk all the way across campus to the school gym, get a 45-minute to an hour workout done, come back home, and sometimes go back to the gym after work was over because the 45 minutes just wasn't enough to get me results, right? In the meantime, I'm eating like chicken, rice, and broccoli 8 times a day. Miserable type of, not even really a lifestyle, but just a way, the only way that I knew how to feel confident in my clothes was to just like suffice through this miserable process. So long story short, she harassed me for weeks and weeks and maybe even months towards the end of that first year that I was working there with her. She was like, hey, we have this new program coming out. Like, I'll give you, this was before we had Beachbody On Demand, so we had all the DVD sets, and she's like, I'll give you the DVDs. You don't have to buy anything. I'll give you the Shakeology stuff, and we'll just work out at home, and we'll send sweaty selfies to each other. And I was like, no, no, no. I said no for months. But the end of the year was approaching. New Year's resolution, right? I had like 12 pounds that I needed to lose in order to feel my best, kind of thing. And I was like, fine, I'll do it. 60-day program. This program is called the Masters Hammer and Chisel. Is my first Beachbody program. Had no idea that it was a Beachbody program or what Beachbody was or anything. I just knew that it was the 60-day program. I followed it to a T. I followed Portion Fix. I did the workouts every single day. I sent my sweaty selfie to her every day. I wasn't in a challenge group or anything. It was just kind of like our own little personal thing. And guys, when I say that at the end of those 60 days, my life was forever changed, it was forever changed. And if you have ever completed one of our programs from start to finish, no matter how perfectly or imperfectly you have done so, you know what I'm talking about. My life was forever changed at the end of that program. I had finally found a true, healthy way to feel my best through a process that was a lot of freaking fun, right? Like, it wasn't miserable. I loved the food that I was eating. I loved the workouts. I didn't have to spend my lunch break sweating at the gym to come back and try to do something with myself to meet with students for the rest of the day. It just literally changed my life. This friend of mine that introduced me to the programs was a Beachbody coach, but she wasn't actively growing and building a business. So she never had the conversation with me about coaching. And so my super type A, feel like I need to know everything before I jump off into it type of personality, watched YouTube videos for 6 months after I finished that program, learning about the coaching opportunity and what it meant to be a coach. And all that I knew was that I wanted to keep going, and I wanted to share the Masters Hammer and Chisel that had so drastically changed my life with Portion Fix with everybody on the planet. And that's kind of where my coaching journey started. And so I signed up under my friend to be a coach because she was my friend. She's no longer in the business. Her upline is no longer in the business. And insert Scotty Hobbs into my life, who has like totally taken me under his wing as one of his coaches when I'm not even technically one of his personally sponsored coaches. But that is how I found Beachbody. That is how I found these programs. And like I said at the beginning of the call, I feel like there's a lot of power in that process for me, because inviting, I know, is one of the most scariest parts of the business when you sign up as a new coach. And not only just when you sign up, but, moving through our business activity tracker, we know that connecting, inviting, and following up is probably the most important income producing activity on that sheet. But we probably almost always leave it to last, right? Like, we check all the other boxes first, and then we leave this one to last, and like, oops, maybe we don't get to it today. So we do, we move it over to tomorrow and then we forget about it tomorrow, kind of thing. But I promise you that the only way you are going to move your business forward is by connecting with the people who are already following you and watching you, reaching out to them, and using the confidence that you have in our programs to start that relationship building process, and then find new people to continue duplicating that process with. And so inviting for me has not ever been something that I've been scared of. However, there was a time I wasn't very good at it. I go back and I look through my old Facebook messages, because when I first started coaching, Instagram was a thing, but it wasn't like the thing like it is now. And like 90% of my business came from Facebook, and nowadays like 99% of it comes from Instagram, specifically my Instagram stories. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But I sometimes I like go through my old Facebook messages and I'm like, wow, that was like, no wonder all these people told me no. That is so bad, right? So don't beat yourself up, especially if you're a newer coach, on feeling like you don't know how to invite. Hopefully some of the tips that I can give you guys tonight will give you more confidence in that process. But I want to first remind you, so kind of like I thought about creating a presentation for tonight, but then I just wanted to talk with you guys. So I created like an outline. So I'll be kind of looking over here at that. But just to kind of give you kind of an idea of like the structure of how I'm going to kind of navigate through things, I tried to create this structure this content in a way that was as less confusing as possible. But I wanted to talk specifically about connecting and inviting those people that are already watching what you're doing, and then new followers, right? Like how to find, connect, and invite new followers, but also connecting and inviting those people that you're already connected with. And then following up, we'll touch on that really briefly at the end. So kind of just jumping right in, I want you to understand that inviting is only scary if you allow it to be, right? Like I talked about the fact that I fell in love with these programs by completing a program from start to finish, and that is kind of what sparked my interest in becoming a coach. If you love these programs enough, if you love challenge groups enough, if you love the internal transformation that you've made, you know, by doing a program or by doing personal development or by being plugged into a challenge group or by connecting with other women in that challenge group, and if you want this business bad enough, you will want to share it with every single person on the face of the planet. And I have always said, and I tell all my new coaches, like, I bleed Beachbody Blue and I love these programs so much and what they've done for my life and what this coaching opportunity has done for my life so much that I would stand on every rooftop if I could and just like scream it to everybody. So I want you to I feel like going into the inviting process and connecting with new people, you have to have that unwavering belief in our programs and in this coaching opportunity and in running your challenge groups, so much to the fact that you will invite anybody and everybody, okay? This is a relationship business. So if you lead with your heart and the passion that you have for these programs in this business, and not with the intent to just sell someone something, that will pay off long-term, always at some point in your business. I tell my new coaches all the time, the conversations you have today will pay off in your business 6 months from now. And I think it's really easy to kind of get wrapped up in kind of losing sight of that. You know, maybe you're a brand new coach and or maybe you're like relaunching your business and you've been doing this for a hot second and you're finding that nobody wants to join you. This is the most common kind of rebuttal that I hear from most of my new coaches, you know, right when like they're excited and they love these programs and they want to share it with everybody, but nobody wants to join them. So what do I do now? Lean into the love and passion that you have for these programs and how bad you want this business, and just keep moving forward. This business is 100% relationship built. And I want you to think about your own journey and experiences with Beachbody programs or with the coaching opportunity. I started this coaching business because I love these programs and I wanted to share it with other people and help hold myself accountable. What I didn't know at the time is that this community and this tribe of women that I've built, and most of which I have met on social media through my quote unquote cold market, I didn't know that I needed them. And that's like a whole new kind of push for momentum and excitement that I have for this business is that kind of piece. So I want you to think about your experience in challenge groups and with the coaching opportunity and on your team or your uplines team or whatever kind of little group that you're a part of, and lead with that, and know that you're inviting people because you know that you have something valuable to share with them, and you know that they can be your people and that they can find value from this opportunity. So first things first, don't get weird when you sign up to be a coach. And this is something that Scotty has he has just beat it into my head from day one, is it's I should put quotes around that, as that is a Scotty Hops phrase, because I see this so often too, right? When you sign up to become a Beachbody coach, you obviously start becoming more vulnerable in the way that you share your life on social media. So it's really easy to just share Beachbody stuff, right? Like your workouts or your Shakeology or your mom crack or your lightning juice or your yellow magic or whatever you want to call Energize, because it's all our favorite thing, right? Just don't be weird. Just be yourself, right? Like you were somebody before you were a Beachbody coach, and that is the person that other people are going to connect with. And I know we're specifically talking tonight about finding new people and what that connection and inviting process specifically looks like. But I think it's really important that when you seek out new people to connect with, that you are sharing your story and your life in a way that is going to make them hit that follow button back. You know what I mean? Because if you find somebody that you could benefit from these programs, or that just looks like you two could become besties, that's what I always think, like when I'm connecting with somebody new, is like, I want to be her friend. And so you have to think about the fact that when you reach out to somebody new and you're connecting with them, which we'll talk about in a second, they are going to come to your page to see like what you're about. And so you have to make sure that you're sharing yourself in a way that is authentic to who you are, and not just like you just decided to become all weird because now you're a coach and you don't know what else to share besides Beachbody. So I wanted to start by that, because I feel like that is such an easy kind of thing to fall into, because the reason why you start sharing your life more openly and more in a more vulnerable way is because you are a coach. So it's really easy to just share that kind of stuff. So let's talk specifically about connecting and inviting with, I know you guys have heard these phrases like over and over and over, your warm market and your cold market, but I like to say that we have like a hot market, a warm market, and a cold market. So I'm going to talk specifically about what those are, and then I want to talk about connecting and inviting in each one of those markets specifically, as we kind of move through the inviting process and kind of that flow. So let's start with what I call your hot market. And these are not like, don't Google these on Webster or anything, because these are just like how I define these specific markets, so that when I'm going into like having a conversation, I know based on how well I know that person, how that conversation is going to go. So let's talk about connecting with your hot market, especially if you're a newer coach, or even if you've been in this business for a while. You need to exhaust your hot market first and foremost. And what I consider to be my hot market is the people who already know, like, and trust me, right? These are probably people that I know from behind a computer screen, right? Like high school friends, college friends, family, all of the people that you know face to face in person before Instagram and Facebook was like this huge thing that it is, which is how we mainly connect with people nowadays. If you think that you have totally exhausted this market of people that already know, like, and trust you, I'm going to bet that you haven't, because I am 2.5 years into really working this business, and I haven't even exhausted my hot market yet, right? Like there are people who, because for me, this is the most uncomfortable market for me to connect with and invite, because they're the people that's closest to us, right? And we, for some reason, have like this weird fear of them judging us, or we don't want them to tell us no, so we're just going to avoid the question up front. Go back and make a list of these people. I want you to write down every single person that you've ever come in contact to in person that you know could benefit from these programs, or that everybody, like literally everybody. If you think you've exhausted this market, I can promise you probably haven't. So go back and make a list of everybody. And like I said, these are people that you know in real life, out from behind your computer screen. I want you to, when you're inviting these people specifically, since these are people who already know, like, and trust you, I want you to keep this invite super casual, right? I want you to think of it as like if you were inviting your sister, brother, or friend out to your new favorite restaurant. Hey, I don't know if you've seen or not, but I'm doing this new 100 workout program at home and I'm seriously loving it. You should do it with me. We would have so much fun. That casual, right? Like that's probably as casually as you would invite somebody out to a new restaurant with you. Hey, I heard about this new restaurant. I'm really craving Chinese food. Let's go get some, kind of thing. And so especially if you are a newer coach, you've got to focus on these people, because if you are newer to showing up on social media with your workouts and with these programs and with sharing the coaching opportunity, it's going to take time for those people who don't already really know, like, and trust you to for that connection and that trust to be built as they watch you show up day after day after day. In the meantime, you have to create momentum in your business by connecting with these people in your quote unquote hot market. Okay, so start there. While you're showing up every day, while you're sharing what you're doing, while you're inviting through your posts and on your stories, so on and so forth, connect with these people who already know, like, and trust you. And don't be weird. Just invite them like you're inviting them to a restaurant. like you want to go out to eat. And if you are truly being a product of the product and you're following a workout program from start to finish, and maybe you have a start date for a boot camp coming up, or maybe you're co-leading a boot camp with your upline or with another coach on the team, invite them to that. And you can stamp a date on it to kind of create a sense of urgency. Like, hey, I'm doing this 100 workout program. I don't know if you've seen or not, but we would have so much fun. We're actually starting a new challenge group next Monday. You should hop in it with me. And then they'll start asking questions, and regardless of whether they say yes or no at that specific moment, that door and that gate is kind of open, right? And they're probably going to start paying more attention to what you're doing anyway. So that's your hot market. So let's move on to the next. This is what I consider my warm market. I consider my warm market, unless you've been focusing on growing your cold market. I wish I had other terms for these, but I don't. But unless you've been working for a long time on growing that cold market, more likely than not, the people who you're friends with on Facebook and the people who follow you on Instagram are going to be people that you've probably connected with before in some kind of capacity, or they've at least been following you for a while and they're seeing what you're doing. Okay, so that's what I'm going to refer to as like your warm market. Maybe some acquaintances, people who've been watching what you're doing for a while, those kind of things. So what I do is every single person that follows me and that watches my story. So I always start with going through the people who are watching my stories. But depending on how many views on your story you get, you may get to a point where you run out of those contacts, and maybe you've already made contact with everybody who's consistently watching your story. So then I literally click on my followers list and I go through every single follower and make sure I have some kind of connection point with them. These are people who are already following me, or friends on Facebook, depending on where you put your most time and effort into. And I send them a message like this. And I can copy and paste this stuff into the chat box, or I can share it. So I can put it like in a Word document and send it over to Brigitte, and she can get it to all of you guys. As far as like these little, I don't like to call them scripts, but these things that I send, because I feel like it's the most important thing to really customize them and make them fit your personality. But what I consistently send to people who are already following me and or watching my stories is, hey, I just wanted to reach out and say thank you for supporting my content. I know some people like to just follow along for fun, and some people are interested in what I do but are nervous to reach out. Let me know if you ever consider doing a program with me. I'd love to send you some more info if so. That's it. It's not what we call a cold invite. That's like, hey, I have this challenge group going and I would love for you to be a part of it, because then they're like, what in the heck are you talking about? Right? But I feel like if that little nugget right there that I just shared with you guys is me really feeling like I would love to share these programs with you, and I'm so thankful that you are following me and supporting my content. And if you ever get to a point to where you're ready to do this with me, I would love to talk to you about it. Like, that is how I would say it to somebody in person. So that's what I put on paper. It doesn't have to be this really like scripted, awkward, weird kind of, hey, I am running a boot camp. Here's what it is. Here's what you get. It costs this. Like, don't word vomit, right? Because they haven't asked for info yet. So that is how I kind of make a connection point to people that I know have either been watching what I'm doing or they're following me. And when I send that message, they're like, oh, I wonder what she's talking about program. So they'll come to my page, look at what I'm doing, and hopefully respond back. 6 times out of 10, they're probably not going to respond back, or they're just going to double tap that message and throw me a like back kind of thing. And that's okay, because like I said, that gate has been opened, that door has been opened, and they know that I'm there if and when they ever need me. Okay. So same kind of thing to people who are watching my stories. I just tweak it a little bit. Hey, I just wanted to reach out and say thank you or I noticed that you were watching my stories. I know some people just watch for fun. Some are interested in what I do, but are nervous to reach out. Let me know if you ever consider doing a program. I'd love to send you some more info. Keep it simple. Okay, keep it simple. Okay, so now let's move into, I'm talking super fast, but it's because I could talk for 3 hours and I want to respect y'all's time. So I'm trying to get through all of my little bullet points first, and then I'll hop over to the chat thing real quick. Okay, so now let's talk about how to find new people. So if you've been coaching for a hot second, let me back up. Even if you've been coaching for a hot second, I want you to start with that hot market. Reevaluate the people that already know, like, and trust you. Look at that list. Make that list. Go back through that list. Make sure that everybody on the planet that you know knows what you're doing and knows that they're invited, okay? And then work on those people that are already watching what you're doing, start fostering and focusing on those relationships. And then now you're like, okay, I have genuinely done all the things, or you're finishing up those things, or you're working through those things. Now I want to find new people to connect with that fit my tribe and my people, and that I can really connect with on a deeper level. So here is what I do to connect with new people. I follow this is a lot of follow words, but I follow the followers of pages that have a similar audience as me based on the life phase that I'm in. For example, I am a 6.5-month postpartum new mom. So during my entire pregnancy and up until this point postpartum, I go to pages that have similar audiences as me, whether that's pregnant mamas or new mamas or whatever the case may be. For example, my favorite maternity legging company, the maternity leggings that I wore throughout my entire pregnancy, new mom pages, sleep training pages, new mom like fashion bloggers or whatever the case may be, baby product pages, those kind of things. Because I know that the people who follow those pages are going to be in a similar life phase as me, and we're going to be able to connect on something, whether it's being a new mom or being pregnant or navigating that whole journey, so on and so forth. So I want you to really think about and reflect the point, kind of the life phase that you're in, and also the things that you're interested in, right? I'm super interested in like really awesome clothing on a really cheap budget. So like Target, American Eagle, Walmart. So I follow, like what attracts me to the pages that I follow is finding other women who are fashion bloggers specifically, and like what they share is clothes, and all of their content is kind of centered around clothes, but specific to those brands that I know that I can afford. So think about your hobbies, your interests, the life phase that you're in, and I want you to follow those pages and then go, I don't want to say target, but go follow their followers. Not all of their followers. Click on one of their followers pages, look through it, see if there's somebody. I always, like I said earlier, I think about who I want to be friends with. Like, she looks like somebody that I want to be friends with, or we would have a fun time, or whatever the case may be, and follow them. So when I'm connecting with these people, I follow what I like to call a 3-2-1 rule. Because just because you follow them doesn't mean that they're going to immediately follow you back. And so you want to kind of start that process of connecting with and engaging to those people. So what I do is I follow the 3-2-1 rule, and I go to their page and I like 3 of their posts. I comment on 2 of their posts, and then I see if they have an Instagram story, and I watch their entire story so that I can get to know their personality better. And I will send one response to one of their Instagram stories. Nothing related to Beachbody. It's literally just starting the process of establishing that relationship. So I love your headband, where did you get it? Or I love that top, or your baby's so cute, or we have the same kind of dog, or whatever the case may be. And that is how I kind of open the invite for them to come to my page to see what I'm about, to follow me back, so that we can start connecting with each other on a deeper level. Just kind of like as a side note caveat here, the reason why, and I know like we're not going into depth on like the content that you share or how you share your story, but I do want to add that the content on your page and the content that you share in your stories, this is where this becomes super important, because these people will hopefully go straight to your page once you've liked and commented and, you know, sent them a message to look at what you're about. So what I always do is I always think about what my top 9 grid on Instagram says about me. I want them to know that I'm a new mom. I want them to know that I have a really awesome tribe of women that I do life with. I want them to know that I'm into taking care of myself and exercising. And I almost always have a I do always have a side-by-side picture, some kind of transformation in my top 9, so that they can see that I'm on a journey. Okay, so when you're, total side note, but when you're thinking about how to share your story and your journey and create a brand for yourself outside of Beachbody, you want to make sure that when you're connecting with these new people, that when they come to your page, they can really see what you're about, to know if you are their kind of people too. So just kind of keep that in mind for sure. So that is how I specifically make an effort to connect with new people. But I also want to say, and this was something that I kind of navigated through when I was pregnant, specifically with all of the maternity wear stuff. I'm not really that into fashion, but I get lots of questions about my clothes for some reason. And so that's what I try to like speak to that part of my audience. And so maternity, like wear, active wear and stuff like that was a big conversation piece during that point in my life. And so what I started doing was anytime that I would post a picture and I was in maternity leggings or I was wearing my belly band or anything, I would tag the product page in my post. So I would tag them in my post. They would get or I would share it in my stories and tag their handle. They get a notification that you have shared, you know, their brand or their page. They will almost always repost what you shared in their stories or on their page. And then their followers will see you and will come to your page, see what you're about, and see if you are somebody that they want to follow and connect with. So it's kind of twofold, right? It's you following their followers and starting that connection process of the 3-2-1 that I mentioned. But then it's also allowing their followers to potentially find you first by resharing your posts and or your stories of things that you've tagged them in. So I'm using the maternity thing just as an example because that's kind of the point of my life where I like kind of figured that little piece out. So think about those pages that you're following and everyday products that you wear or use or anything, and just tag them. Yes, Brigida I just glanced over at the chat and she said, be sure you're taking share-worthy photos so the businesses won't share them otherwise. Yes, like, yes, all the yes. You want it to be something that, they find enough value in to share with their audience, if that makes sense. Okay, let me go back to my notes. Okay, so eventually these connections that you're making with these new people will continue, you'll continue to foster them, and the conversations will naturally lead to an invite like you shared with your hot market, right? So if you guys keep having conversation back and forth, you're making it a point to go to their page, you're making it a point to learn more about them and encourage them to learn more about you. The invite will then come to a point where it's just like, hey, I don't know if you've been seeing or not, but I've been doing this thing. I love it. We would have fun. You should join me. That casually. Or they will get one of your warm market invites, right? Let's say that the conversation hasn't really gone anywhere, but they're still following you. Maybe they're watching your stories. And if you're being diligent and intentional about sending those warm market messages about, like where I said, hey, thanks for supporting me and following along. I know some people just like to watch for fun. Some are interested in what I do. Let me know kind of thing. They will get one of those messages from you if you are being diligent enough in going through and inviting those people that already follow you. So, let's talk about following up super quick, and then if there's any questions, of course, we can get those answered. I don't want to spend too much time on the follow-up outside of telling you that there's power in the follow-up. I know you've heard that before. I write down, I should have brought my notebook in here, but I didn't. I'm a total pen and paper kind of girl, but track as you please, whether that's online or with pen and paper. I write down every single person that even entertains my invite, and I follow up with them. So I don't, and this is just my personal preference, you definitely need to find like a tracking system or a follow-up process that works best for you, but there's so much power in the follow-up, you guys. Like somebody will slip through the cracks who is so ready to join your group so quickly. So you have to be sure that you're being diligent in the follow-up. But what I do personally is I just write down every single person that has even entertained an invite, whether they've asked, like I've invited them and they asked questions, but then they ended up saying, no, not right now, or whether they've asked me questions and then the conversation didn't go anywhere, whether I sent them a share card or whatever. If they have even entertained the idea of joining one of my groups, I write them down. What I do personally is I follow up with that person 2 days after that initial interest was shown. And then I follow up every 2 weeks after that when I'm enrolling for a new boot camp, which is why it is so important to always have a boot camp to be inviting to, regardless of what that looks like for you. I personally, I run 21-day boot camps back to back. Like this Sunday, one is over, Monday, a new one starts. And then I also run like program specific groups whenever we have a launch coming up. So whatever your marketing plan or strategy for your month looks like, kind of keep that in mind. But you always want to have something to invite to, or this entire connecting, inviting process isn't going to get you anywhere. You have to have somewhere to connect these people to and with other people and connect them with when you're inviting them when they commit. So So much power in the follow-up. Like I said, anybody who even entertains an invite or asks a question or reaches out to me, I follow up with them 2 days and then 2 weeks, or whenever kind of enrollment for my boot camp opens. Real quick, I forgot one thing that I wanted to mention, and then we'll wrap this up and see if you guys have any questions. Another thing that I do to kind of engage my followers, you have probably noticed by now, if you have used a poll or a questions box or something on your stories that is relative to a boot camp, like you did this, like this really fancy Instagram story and you're like, vote here, yes, I want more info, or yes, sign me up now, or whatever your options are. The number of votes that you get on those polls versus you throwing up a poll that's like, my husband, I'm using this as an example because I did it the other day. My husband really loves candy corn, and I think it's the most disgusting candy on the planet. So I posted a picture of candy corn and I was like, yes, I love it. Ew, that's gross kind of thing. You will probably notice that the responses you get on those polls that are not related to one of your boot camps or challenge groups, the number's a lot higher than the one about your boot camps. And that's because it's obviously a more comfortable conversation to have. So what I like to do is I throw those up every now and then. I try to, like, every other day, just so that it gives me a connection point for reaching out to those people who have voted. The most success that I've seen with this one is one that I did several weeks back, and I was picking a new profile picture for my Instagram, and I threw up both pictures and I said, I really need your help. Will you please vote picture A, picture B kind of thing. And then what I did is I went through every single person that voted on that poll, and I sent them a really quick message that I just copy and pasted. It took like 20 minutes. And it said, hey, thanks so much for voting on my profile picture. It really means a lot. I decided to go with option A or whatever. They either don't respond, which is fine. They give you a little double tap that they liked your message, which is fine. Or they respond and they say something like, oh, you're so welcome, I love them both, or whatever the case may be. And then I would go to their page and I would find a connection point to continue that conversation. So for example, one girl responded, she was a photographer, that she specifically did like senior portraits for high school students. So I went to her page, loved her pictures. She responded back and said, you're so welcome. I loved both of them. I don't think you could go wrong with either one. And I said, thanks so much. I love your work. Do you only do senior portraits? That started a conversation about photography. She started paying more attention to my stories. She reached out about my boot camp, and she is now my challenger because she voted on a poll about my profile picture. And because I was diligent in fostering that relationship with her. So just kind of think about that when you're trying to figure out ways to engage your audience. It's super uncomfortable for them to vote on that poll that is about your challenge group, because they feel like if they vote on that poll, then like, ooh, what if I change my mind? Or what if I, what if it's too expensive? Or what if I'm not interested after she gives me info kind of thing? So just think about creative ways to engage those people that are already following you as well. That is all that I had in my notes. I just want to kind of reiterate 3 points. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. I know you guys, like, you hear that all the time, but you have to. Lead with your heart, lead with the passion that you have for these programs and your drive and want to grow and build a successful business. And there's no better month to do this than now. It is Beat Your Best this month during October. So get comfortable being uncomfortable and pull from that passion and that heart that you have for this business to invite people that you already know, people that you kind of know, and connect with new people and invite them as well. Connect and invite with confidence, and do your due diligence before you tell yourself that you have run out of people to talk to. Because I promise you, it is like the number one false truth, if that's a thing, that we tell ourselves, is that nobody wants to join me. I've invited everybody I know and everybody says no. Everybody says it's too expensive. Well, guess what? Keep going. Find new people. And hopefully this content gave you a few kind of tips to finding some of those new people, or maybe forcing yourself to be honest with yourself about if you really have invited everybody that you know on the face of the planet. So that is all that I have. I don't know if there's any questions, or I'm sorry, I tried to keep it to 30 minutes, but I went a little over.
No, this was so good, Beth. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. I feel like this was like a call where it's very doable. It feels attainable, but there's such good advice. I love your scripts that you say, especially just the one to the warm market of like people following you. And because I think that there's so many people who are interested but are just scared to reach out. And so just even pointing that out and saying like, hey, like I just don't want to like leave you behind if you were interested. It really opens up that door of, you know, the conversation. But I think this is a call that we're all going to have all of our new coaches listen to like over and over again. So thank you. Thank you so much, Beth. I really, really appreciate this. And so helpful. So thank you all for tuning in, and I will share the recording with you all here soon in the team pages so you can get your coaches to tune in. And thank you. Thank you all for getting on, and thank you, Beth.
Bye, guys.
Good night.